Welcome to the Horse Trailer Post podcast, the show where we cover anything and everything related to the horse trailer industry. I'm your host, Brad Heath, owner and operator of Double D Trailers with over 25 years of experience in the horse industry. I'm excited to bring you the latest news, tips, and insights into everything equine. Can't wait to share my passion for horses and horse safety with all of you. So saddle up and join me every other week for the Horse Trailer Post podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horse Trailer Post podcast. My name is Caleb, and I'm your guest host this week. I'm a trailer design specialist at Double D Trailers, and I've been with the company for about a year now, and I'm excited to be with you today. I have the great pleasure to welcome two of our current owners as today's guests, Mike and Shelley Ermintrout. They purchased from us back in 2020, and they have a unique story they'd like to share. If you've been on our website for any length of time, you may have actually already seen some of Mike and Shelley's story, as they've been gracious enough to do an interview for our Trailer Talk blog series that we've done, and they've sent over video demonstrations in the past of them using their trailer. So first off, Mike and Shelley, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Thanks, Caleb. It's good
Caleb.
to be here.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
No problem. So Mike and Shelley, can you tell me a little bit about your background with horses, kind of what got you into horse ownership?
Well, I've been riding horses since I was 3.
Okay. That's a loaded question, I guess.
Yeah. I was going to say, so it's been, given the time I had to take off for school, let's see.
A long time.
Let's say 45 years. So
Okay.
yeah, that I've been involved with horses. And then when I married Mike, I dragged him into the horse world.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. It was a trap.
So you were not a horse guy at all before you got married?
No.
In fact, after we got married, Shelley bought a horse and we boarded it someplace. And she went off to the barn and I went off someplace else. And then we bought our own property and built a barn. And it started with, hey, they're herd animals and they have to have another horse with them. And we might as well get something called the husband horse. And I was like, oh, I'm a husband. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Man, you got it.
4.
4?
Yes.
So you have 4 horses now?
Yes.
4 horses.
Yeah.
What what breed of horses do you guys have?
We have a Pasifino, a Rocky Mountain horse, and we have 2 Bashkir Curlies.
Okay, I got you. And what size are they?
The Paso's very small. He's about 13 hands. The Curlies are about 15, and the Rockies about 15 hands too. So
Got you. So you don't have any monster giraffes or warm bloods or anything like that?
No. I mean, I know our trailer, it can fit them, but we, just my little guy, and as it's usually the Paso who goes for me, and there's sometimes I take the Curly, but most of the time he's just taking his Rocky, and so they're small to average size horses, so they got tons of room.
Sure, that's a lot better to deal with too, and all that. So as far as horse trailers go, before you guys, so you purchased, I said back in 2020, before you purchased your Double D, kind of what was your experience with horse trailers? How many have you owned, and how many have you used in the past?
How much time you
How
got?
much time you got? Yeah.
Yep, whatever time it needs.
Our first horse trailer was a 1976 Campbell coach. It was rusty. It had no floors and no brakes. We were poor.
We had a friend help us weld it back together.
Gosh.
We rattle can of paint on it.
I duct taped a flashlight to the back and spray painted it red.
Yeah.
And that was our first one. And from that point, we were like, that's crazy. We need to get something else. We had 2 Brender ups. So that kind of was the start of, we bought the first Brender up sight unseen out of Texas, and they delivered it. We had never seen it before. So it's kind of why people say, are you nervous about buying a trailer without seeing it? And I was like, no, we've done that a lot. We bought a second Brender up, and then we wanted something to go camping with. So we had 2 other brands who shall remain nameless.
Okay, no worries there.
And then finally we got to the point where we're like, we've always seen, what's amazing about your marketing is that whenever you do any type of search, Double D comes up first.
For safest trailer.
And we
work pretty hard on trying to make sure people, at least make people aware of, what's out there and all that. So that's the biggest part, education,
Yeah. Well, because he took a large animal rescue class, which I'll let him extrapolate on. But I know shortly after he took that, ironically, we had an incident with our previous trailer where my horse was tied to the side of it, and we thought he was on a high tie, and we thought the high tie was in a frame piece, a solid.
It wasn't a frame piece.
Yeah, just wasn't. The frame piece was not a box frame. We found out later from someone who knew the trailers that it was all C-framed, and we were.
Well, we didn't have, when he ripped the skin off of it, you could see the C-frame.
Yeah,
it was a C-channel.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah. He panicked just slightly, and it wasn't even like a super panic, but it was a panic enough for him to back up, and he pulled on the high tie, and the high tie pulled the whole corner of the trailer off.
Oh my gosh.
We were like, oh my gosh. I mean, that was happened in an instant, and it was, here's the corner of our trailer opened up.
Well, and the trailer was light as a feather. And
I'm catching a little vibes there with that.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that light, because we have, when we tie up our horses, we tie them up with a quick release, all sorts of quick release devices.
So a safety lead line that has, it's just Velcro pieces that will pull apart if they really panic. And then we had them attached to the high tie, it's got clips on it that will release. So we try to set everything up as safe as possible, so no one's going to get hurt.
Yeah, for sure.
It still tore the corner of the trailer off.
Yeah. We were in shock because we thought it was a good, decent brand.
It was a very well-known brand.
Yeah.
Who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Was there anything about the trailer that you liked? Those trailers, the more recent ones that you've gotten before Double D?
I mean, they had all the features that, things that you liked as far as the looks and the functionality of it, that when you boil down a trailer to its basic elements, it's a device that hauls horses, and it has a gripper in the front.
Gotcha.
Things that were separated Double D from the rest of the brands was the customization and the build quality.
Well, and the safety feature of we really liked that the tack area opened up and away from the horse area, because he actually Mike almost broke his arm when one of the horses got a little pushy and shovey inside the trailer, and smashed him against the rear tack. And he the way he had his arm at that moment, it almost got broken because he was pushed into that corner.
Don't worry, they won't work.
Good.
He was pushed into that one angled corner of the rear tack when the horse was being pushy.
Yeah, and that's a lot of weight coming at you with some force that could easily have broken it, for sure.
Yes. So, I mean, those factors put into the back of our heads. It was like, okay, there's got to be something better. And then he unfortunately came home from the technical large animal course and told me about all the safety features that the veterinarian that gave the course recommended. Yeah. And it's like, we've experienced a few of these items, and what we thought was a good trailer. And I'm like, I really would prefer to find something that covers all the bases that she spoke of about how to make sure, your horse gets there safely. The horse has a chance of surviving an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rollover picture that I know you had on your blogs and on Facebook, about that accident in Florida. Those kinds of things are, in the back of your head. You may not be consciously thinking of them, but you do occasionally sit there and think, how can I protect my babies? So
well, it's just like like insurance of any nature and sort is there as a safety net. It's not something you ever really plan to use.
Right.
You have it there if you need it, and that's a big deal because you never know, especially the way people drive nowadays, what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, we put a dash cam in our truck because we've had so many people cut us off just right out in front. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. We can't stop that well.
Yes. Yeah. And people just aren't cognizant of like their surroundings, especially people driving with trailers. You can't stop on a dime like you can with a little car or something. So,
right.
Yeah, crazy.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned the safety course. So from my understanding, Mike, you are a firefighter, and that your career actually led you to finding Double D trailers through that safety course. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I took a class called the Technical Large Animal Rescue class. It's a 3-day class, and it focuses on a lot of animal rescue as far as horses stuck in mud, cattle stuck in mud. But we spent almost a whole day talking about and practicing extrication from trailers. And the person who teaches the class just has a whole series, and there's a Facebook group and tons and tons of pictures and videos of horse trailer accidents. And she was going over, especially the ones that I don't want to make your audience queasy with descriptions, but let's just say that sometimes those wooden floors are rotted and the horse goes through the wooden floor. The misnomer that an aluminum floor isn't going to have corrosive damage from urine if it's not cleaned properly, that fails. So it was a lot of, this is what a trailer looks like when it's in an accident, when it gets hit by something or it rolls over. And the aluminum ones just get torn apart. And it was a consistent theme that if you want, because we talked a lot about, well, what is a safe alternative? And it's a steel trailer or a trailer with a steel frame, something that is going to survive that impact and survive being a rollover, which is very common with a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem that I came back from that class and I shared that information with my wife, and she's like, well, we're getting a double D.
Nice. So as far as like where you're at, is that those type of accidents, is that something you see often, or is it kind of just like you got to plan for everything?
So, that's the challenge in the fire service in general, is that you do have to plan for everything. You hope and you pray that you don't see those things. But, in my 35-year career, I've certainly seen horses go down in stalls, horses go down in mud. I haven't seen a lot of catastrophic accidents, but we have 20 miles of interstate highway in our district, and I see a ton of horse trailers. Yeah. Fortunately, I haven't seen anything really, really bad, but you take these classes to be prepared for that moment. And certainly as a horse owner, you try to, I take my trailer, and it's kind of a train the trainer. I take that information that we glean and bring it back to our firefighters and EMTs, paramedics. And I use my horses and my trailers to show, well, this is how you remove a horse from a trailer, or this is where you can cut. These are the items that might be in your way. And particularly in trailers that have that rear tack room that doesn't get out of your way. It's how do you get this stuff out of the way? And horse gets tangled up on that type of equipment.
I got you. So, kind of with that experience and knowledge of the safety and the extrication and all those things, what would you think would be the most important for you to have on a horse trailer for safety?
You buy a double D.
Okay. I got you.
I mean, do what we did. Spend your money on something good.
The steel frame, the rumber flooring was an absolute, I really like the rumber flooring. I know some people out there might think otherwise, but I like the fact of not having to haul mats out and check the floor, worry about the wood rotting.
It's tongue and groove.
It's tongue and groove. I think it's easy to clean with just a quick hosing, or sweep it out, quick hosing, and it's clean. It's ready to go for the next trip. The ability to open up so that any horse, whether they are good at loading or extremely nervous at loading, will get right on that trailer. I mean, any new horse I've brought up to that trailer gets right on, no questions asked, because we're able to open up the door, we're able to open up the tack. So definitely the openness of the trailer, I know, is a huge plus for making them a lot more comfortable.
Gotcha.
So
what, for the folks that don't know, what model did you end up purchasing from us?
we have a 2-horse living quarters with the SafeTech Reverse.
Okay, so the SafeTech Reverse LQ model, if you're looking on the web page. So since you've owned that for a few, little while now, what would you say that you, other than, like the rumble and the ability to load from the side, like you just mentioned, what would you say is like you really love about the trailer? Well, let me ask you this. This might be a better question, So what do you not like about the trailer?
Nothing.
Well, the only thing.
The only thing I wish I had done is I wish I'd put a furnace in the living quarters, but that's minor.
Furnace? No, I think the only thing that I said, I wish there was one key for everything, and I know that's hard because there's different lock manufacturers.
Right.
From my standpoint, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
The extra few seconds that I have to take to find the key,
the right key,
the right key for there's a separate. That's it. There's, from the start of the order process, and this is one of the things that I really liked about the process, is that trailer is the only one in the entire world that is designed like that, because we designed it.
Yeah.
The ability to take a basic design and to deal with Brad and say, hey, can you put, so one of the things that I wanted a turn signal indicator on the fender that when I look in the mirror, I can see that the brake lights and the turn signals are working. And that's something that always drove me crazy, that I couldn't tell if my lights weren't working.
Yeah.
And Brad goes, yeah, I can do that. And every step, we said, we used to have in our last trailer, we used to have a 40-gallon water tank take up the third stall.
Yeah.
And I wanted a shorter trailer. So when we talked about like all the things that went into that third stall, but we don't need a third stall.
Yeah.
And Brad says, I just add another water tank underneath the trailer. Done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And every step, it was like, can you do? There was some stuff in the living quarters.
Well, there was stuff in the living quarters that Lisa worked with me on, that I wanted just tweak slightly so that it fit our needs.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it, and it was great. And it was perfect. It came out just the way we asked.
Nice.
But as I said, no, the only thing I've changed is I wish I had put the furnace in, but I didn't. And
that's not Double D's fault.
And that's not Double D's fault. That's my fault. Yeah.
That's the hindsight being 2020.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I survive without it. We bring a little space heater with it, so if it's going to be really cold, and we survive just fine. And as far as space, it's got tons of space for the two of us. Even without, we did not do a slide out.
Yeah, so y'all just got the base model with the 10-foot short wall. So you feel like there's plenty of space for just you two?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of space for just the two of us. The horses are super comfortable. They arrive calm, they arrive quiet. I've watched them, if we happen to go up a mountain with a lot of switchback turns, and they're.
How does she watch them?
On my camera. I love that camera. I absolutely love the camera. I'm watching them almost the whole way there. Make sure they're okay. And
I like the plug you did there, Mike. Thanks.
But yeah, I noticed they definitely balance better.
Okay.
Riding in reverse. I do see them shift their weight to their haunches, and just as some of the research says they will, and they definitely do it. And that way they're not scrambling, trying to keep themselves upright.
Yeah.
It's nice. But other than that, no, we get tons of people look, and half of them will ask us about the trailer, and but everybody that sees it is like, oh, it's beautiful. So,
like, what is a Double D? What is a Double D trailer?
Yeah, they're like, what is that? And then they see us open the tack room, and then you really see them go,
oh yeah, we've seen that. That's probably the biggest thing that happens when we go to shows, is because that's the first thing you see is the Swing Out Tack, the SafeTech.
Yeah.
Like, what is this contraption, and they play with it and they're like, man, this is so cool. So
yeah.
Really
well,
neat.
for me, it's so I told Brad, I said, I want this to be like a fire truck. I want my water hose pre-connected in a box on the nose of the trailer. So when I need to hose down the horses or they always blow boogers on the side of my trailer and I need to wash that off. You horse people understand what I'm talking about. I said, I want to open a box, turn on the hose and pull the hose out. And Brad said, yeah, I can do that. And he did.
Yeah.
And that always gets, everybody else is pulling out hose and connecting hose. And like, I don't know where to store this hose. Mine's in a box.
And you're just like, watch this. Just
Done.
it out. So, well, you had mentioned about your horses you feel like they really like that reverse load option. Have you guys had any, really experience with that before you found Double D trailers?
No,
Okay.
no. It was, we did a ton of research when we decided, after we had the incident with the back end getting ripped apart in a heartbeat, and him coming home from the class, it was like, okay, let's start researching. And when we saw that, it was like, and then, did try to do a little more digging, and it was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I like being able to bring them off facing forward.
And not having to turn them around or back them off.
Not having to turn around, because I had one horse one time. I spent hours and hours and hours trying to get him to back off a trailer. And everybody and their brother, of course, had an opinion on how to do it. But this horse just panicked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've spent hours trying to convince him it's okay, but he was like, no, it's not.
I think that's probably the biggest thing that we hear from clients and people looking is that, once they get it and they do that SafeTech Reverse option, they just see a world of difference in just that loading and unloading, how easy it is, to be able to walk them on, walk them off.
Yes.
In either way, you could still do that forward facing if you prefer, but even in that case, it's still nice to be able to walk them off that way on the side.
Yes.
Having to try and turn them around there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, my little Paso, he can turn around in it, but it's tiny.
Yeah, I think one of the videos you showed doing that and like the back stall, I believe. So talking about Brad and doing all these custom things, so you guys actually got to work with him, solely with him, doing your order and everything. Fun fact for all the watchers and the listeners. So Brad is my father-in-law. Work with him literally at arm's length. We have a 3-desk office. It's him on the left side, me in the middle, and my wife, Brooke, his daughter, on the right side. And we literally can all touch each other. So, but in all fairness, you've shared, some of what you've been able to do. How was it working with him in this? Like you said, it is a little bit different of a process than what you would find at most places, because most places, you can go to a dealership and you can see the trailer and touch it and all these things. Right. And we have some alternatives to that, but how was it being able to just have that hands-on, one-on-one type, structure in doing this custom process?
It was great. I mean, he was always very responsive to every question, because I am a little nitpicky detail person. I probably drove him crazy at times, but he was very patient. Nice. He answered every question. He came up with the options for us, like the water tank underneath, when we were like, this is really important to us that we have extra water so we can hose the horses off when we're done riding, because down here it's extremely hot.
Yeah.
And I like to arrive back home fresh and clean and not have to sit there with a bucket and sponge and pour water out of a water container. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so he was great. And then when we were working on the actual living quarters piece, Lisa was great to work with. I don't know if she's still there, but
we're still working with Lisa.
Okay, so she was great.
As far as like your customizations and things, is there anything? I know you guys mentioned you got the rumber and the camera system. Is there anything else that kind of really pops out, either in the horse area or the living quarters, that you like? You got to have this on your next trailer.
Well, so I said, I promised myself a long time ago I would never use the term bespoke, but here I am using bespoke. If you've ever built a custom home or ever ordered a Bentley, which I've never have. They throw around the term bespoke, and you're basically, you are custom designing a trailer to what you want and your needs. And when you talk about the living quarters, if you're buying a living quarters, you are not, I just went to Equine Affair. I looked at a lot of trailers just to see, hey, there's the trailers. I got hours to waste before Fantasia. I'm going to walk through the trailers.
Yeah.
They're nothing compared to what we have.
Yeah.
You have no choice. You are going to get what is on that dealer lot. And I don't know who picked out some of those colors, but
I've seen them at times. They're they're a little different.
Yeah.
But if that's something that that's the beauty of it. If you want a gray and black and white interior, you can have that, and you can pick out your wall coverings and your roof coverings and your swatches for your wood and your swatches for the couch, and that's all available to you. And it was literally like building your house.
Yeah.
When we built our house, we got to pick out our kitchen cabinets and our countertops, and it is no different than building a custom home.
Yeah.
And it's the same with that was on the living quarters side. With the trailer itself, adding whatever I wanted, it was just a case of asking Brad via email or hey, can you add this? Absolutely. The nice part about the way your website's set up is that a majority of it is I wanted fans. Check. Fans.
Yeah.
Exactly what it's going to cost. I wanted the camera system. Check. I know exactly what it's going to cost. The website was so easy to work up the basics and if you had a budget that you were working with, you knew exactly.
It's like,
here's
my budget. I can keep this. Yeah.
Let me build my dream trailer and then cut back or add to get to where my budget is. And that was the beauty of the whole process. Brad was very upfront with all the extras that I wanted. He's like, yeah, that's going to cost you X number of dollars extra.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, let's do that. The areas that we cut the electric awning. And I tell you, the manual one is just as easy as any electric awning we've ever had. It was the same with slide out. We've had a lot of people that we know who've been stuck with a slide out that they had to manually push back in and strap back to the trailer.
Yeah.
And, we decided, well, that's something that we're going to cut, and we're going to put that money into something else.
Well, you get into certain, like you just said, it's like you're custom building your house. So certain things are, of course, they're going to be like your premium luxury things. An electric awning, I would say that's probably one of those things. If you got the money, I mean, go for it. It's really cool to be able to push a button, push a button and the awning comes out. Same thing with the slide out. But, being able to see those things, like you said, I think that really is a really cool thing we do. You also mentioned briefly, like correspondence via email. So that's primarily, kind of how we like to do the written correspondence part of it, just because everything is custom. Being able to have those things in writing helps a lot with reflection and going back and make sure everything is correct. We've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. That is also very different than what most manufacturers are doing out here. So was that something that was kind of weird with you at first, or were you okay with it, or any qualms there?
It was perfect.
No. I mean, it was good because that way it was, if there was confusion about something, it was like, well, let me send you a picture.
Yep.
Okay. Now this makes it crystal clear for me. Okay. Now I understand what we're talking about. So, no, I mean, a lot of, we've had friends that are like, I can't believe you bought this sight unseen. I can't believe, and it's like, well, yeah, but.
But yeah. So every day, 3 trucks pull up to our house.
Nice.
The UPS truck, the Amazon truck, and the FedEx truck. And the other day, the DHL truck pulled up with some tack from England. We buy stuff all the time, sight unseen. I've purchased 2 vehicles online that I've driven to. I drove to Kentucky to pick up a vehicle, and I drove to Tennessee to pick up a vehicle that never saw.
Yeah.
All done through pictures and video.
Yeah.
And that's really the way we are right now. We're in a society that is all online ordering is part of the norm now.
Yeah.
there is nothing different about ordering a trailer than ordering a car or any other device. The photo documentation process at the end of the build.
Well, during the build and at the end of the build was amazing. Yeah. I mean,
how many pictures do you have on each trailer?
Like 80 something.
I was gonna say, I think so. Like that would be one thing people ask, like, what about seeing it? But you can kind of go through and see all those pictures and videos, and most of the options, if not all of them, have like a little picture that kind of gives you an idea. And then, like you said, at the very end of the build process, we do send, I forget how many pictures. It's quite a few that we send out before, we schedule delivery and all that. But, we find it works pretty well. And like you said, it's kind of the norm that we are, especially, I don't know, did you guys, so it was 2020 when you purchased, was it pre-COVID, after COVID?
Oh, you know what? We ordered, I think, right as
everything was kind of starting to shut down.
Because I know Brad was like, we're hoping to be back up and running by July, and we're hoping, so he was like, I can't guarantee you anything right now. And we're like, we understand.
Gotcha.
But his estimates weren't far off. I think we got the trailer in August. So,
okay.
It was, just at the cusp of the start.
So you had already kind of started this process before COVID or anything like that?
Well, we had started researching and looking into it, and I think when we were finally ready to pull the trigger, then COVID hit.
Gotcha. Nice. Well, look, man, what a world we've lived in for the past 3+ years from that. So.
Oh yes.
Well, let me ask you this: after going through this process, doing this custom built trailer, would you encourage I feel like I know the answer to this question, but would you encourage other horse owners to pursue custom building for their next horse trailer?
Who is your favorite number one top fan? The Ermintrout.
I would say so.
Oh yes. Yeah, I definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm anybody who wants to look at my trailer, I'm showing it to them. And I'm like, if you got one, you'd love it, so yeah.
Nice. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share with other horse owners about Double D trailers that we may not have talked about?
The only part that I'd like to add is that the follow-up, there was a minor issue. We had a custom water system that had a second tank.
Yeah.
And there was a minor issue with the valve wasn't working right.
Yeah.
And we communicated with Brad, and we came up with a solution. He's like, take it to a local RV place, have them do this, and
I'll take care of it.
He took care of it.
Yeah.
So, and so that is something, with everything we do is factory direct. We don't have dealerships or lots. So for those repairs, we found it a lot easier for you to be able to deal with local repair shops. And do you guys, think that is better to be able to contact and do it that way, or have you had any issues there?
Oh yeah, I'd much rather. I mean, we ended up. We've had a friend of ours who said, my son does RV repairs, and so we ended up taking it to him because the local RV dealer told me, "Oh, well, we're behind, and I don't exactly know what you want us to do with a horse trailer." And I was like, "Oh no." So I did end up going to my friend's son's place, and he took care of it right away.
Nice.
So yeah, so it was a nice option to have, to just be able to go to whoever we wanted to see to help us fix the trailer. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mike and Shelley, for taking the time to join us today to share your experience. For all of those that are watching or listening today, I encourage you to check out our website, doubledtrailers.com, to learn how you can also custom build the horse trailer of your dreams, just like the Ermintrouts did. But until next time.
The link is down below.